Hey everybody, Daniel Rubino here at WPCentral.com, and look what we have. It's the LG e740, aka the Miracle or the Fantasy, depending on which leak you believe. This is a prototype device. We actually got it about 2 months ago, and I've just been sitting on it, not doing anything with it. My apologies, I'm kind of busy. Partly the reason for that is it's not the most exciting device out there, and to be honest, I don't think we're even going to see this device released by LG. If you saw the story from yesterday saying that LG is sort of taking a break from Windows Phone. Anyways, the LG e740 is a fairly low-end device. That is, this wasn't going to bring them any big accolades of competing with Nokia or even HTC. This device looks like more possibly a Tango phone for emerging markets. You see the back here. It's not too bad actually. It has this nice little brushed metal panel right here and a 5-megapixel camera. Go to the front. They have their interesting screen. I think it's it's a different type of LCD that they use. Up here you have a front-facing camera and basically your capacitor buttons down here. There is a power button on the side, which is a little different, and of course the camera button. And then over here you have your volume rocker, and that's pretty much your standard Windows Phone 7.5 device. The buttons are okay. Now I don't want to judge the hardware too much as it's clearly a prototype, and prototypes obviously aren't meant to be sold or considered to be marketable. Having said that, it is a little cheap. It's very light. I mean, it's definitely one of the lightest phones I've come across. If you want to pop the battery off, it's just easy. You just kind of pry it away. I'm not sure that would have been part of the final design, but you can see the back here. 1500 milliamp battery, of course SIM card. This is a completely unlocked and open device. You got your speaker here. Battery life seems okay. It's nothing extravagant. Obviously 1500 milliamp is almost on the low end these days. And then everything just sort of pops in there. It's an interesting phone. Probably the most interesting thing though is this. It has NFC built on. In fact, this is one of the first Windows phones I've seen with NFC, and it is enabled. Let's launch this app. Now this app is interesting. I don't know if this is Microsoft's NFC app or this is something LG worked on. I'm not really too sure. There's no about in it. We can scroll over, share. Actually, this kind of leads me to believe it might be Microsoft just because it's sort of generic looking. Share information to tag NFC enabled device. We have contact. Here, I'll zoom in a little bit there. URL, memo, call, message. Pretty cool stuff that you can just sort of share all sorts of different aspects with NFC. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with near field communication, it's a way to just tap a phone or to another phone and share information or to make payments. And there's pretty much unlimited what you can do with it. It's a pretty new technology. There isn't much infrastructure for it, but we're kind of getting there. And to show that this actually works, let's see, I can go to read here. There we go. I have here my Mobile World Congress Press ID Pass. And what's interesting about that is this is actually NFC enabled. For those of us who go to Mobile World Congress know that you have to scan this every time you enter in. And so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put it up to the back. And it vibrated. You probably couldn't hear it, but you can see it actually said, sorry, this is an unsupported type. So I wasn't expecting it to read the information since it's pretty specific what Mobile World Congress did. But you can see this actually is hardware enabled. I'll do it again. Yeah, so it's actually vibrating when it does that and it reads the card. So although it doesn't support this type of information, NFC is actually physically enabled on this phone, which is really interesting only because let's hop to what everybody always likes to check out, which is the software version. We'll go all the way down to about, more info, and I'll zoom in there. And look at that, what OS build is that? It is 8107. So yeah, that can focus there, it's having a little difficulty. There it goes. 8107. That is not Tango. That's not even an advanced version of Windows Phone. That is actually what's current on a lot of devices out there today. What does that mean? That means a lot of the phones today that you all have as Windows phones can support NFC with apparently a few modifications. Obviously, you need the hardware aspect of it, and most phones don't have that. But this isn't something that was really advanced for Microsoft to put in. So obviously LG and Nokia have been fiddling around with this, and so it's not part of any advanced aspect of Windows Phone. That is kind of it with the fantasy. I wish I could tell you that there's a lot more interesting stuff here, but unfortunately there really isn't. You do have their smart share, you know, for the DLNA, scan search, which is already out there, and a panorama shot. These are all standard LG apps. I've actually always liked LG's OEM apps. They've always had some really cool stuff, and they were the first ones to have augmented reality for Windows Phone. It's kind of a shame that they didn't really go anywhere, but what do you want? Their hardware is pretty lackluster, and this phone is no exception. It's not a bad device, but you know, for an emerging market, I think it would be okay. I couldn't imagine Sprint picking this up and it going anywhere. It would be a pretty terrible experience. It's just a boring kind of phone. I mean, the screen size isn't too bad. Let me compare it to the awesome Lumia 900. You can sort of see the difference here. Lumia 900 is kind of a big phone. And obviously I have the brightness a little higher on the 900, which is why it looks like that. The screen actually isn't too bad though on this Fantasy or the 740, whatever you want to call it. But like I said, it's a pretty unremarkable hardware, very just plastic throughout except for that metal strip on the back. Of course, like I said, prototype device. Don't want to judge it too much on the hardware. But at a what looks to be a gigahertz processor, 512 megs of RAM, 5 megapixel front camera, a rear camera, and a 1 megapixel front facing camera. It's, you know, not the most exciting device, and unfortunately, due to LG's plans, it looks like we'll actually never see this, so perhaps this device is a little bit more rare than we would like to imagine. But it is one of the first Windows phones that I ever played with built-in working NFC. So there you go. Head to WPCentral.com. You can see more high-res pictures of this device along with some of my other thoughts. There you go. Take care, everybody.